Hey guys, what's up? Let's go get some, got me some crackers to snack on, and we are going to do our live. I got some workbooks that I think I want to work out up with you guys. If y'all are down for that, I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. Her story was good, huh, Neil? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's sweet. I really like her a lot. You like Jada back here? Yeah. Okie dokie. Hey guys. Hey everybody. Okay. So, my video about pregnancy and addiction is catching a couple of views. So I know there's probably going to be a lot of people that come in here and want to ask questions about that, which is fine. Totally fine. As long as you're respectful, I don't mind answering any of your questions. Okay. Come on in, everybody. Feeling overwhelmed. That's what we're going to talk about today. This is going to be our workbook for today. Okay? So, for those of you guys that missed it, Rena came on and shared her story. She's a recovering heroin addict, was 7 years sober, and she's a fucking amazing. Y'all are going to love her. I am working on uploading that video onto YouTube right now, so it'll be up shortly. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go check it out. I just hit 10,100 people over there. Okay, so let's go through the happenings of today. Okay, so we had Rena on and she shared her story. Earlier, I shared with you guys about my CPS case, and I read to y'all how I basically gave CPS all the information they needed by telling them too much. Okay, for those of you guys that were asking me, how did I get this? So whenever they closed my case, they gave me all the papers that came with it. Like I got this, the closed case thing. I got my husband's psychological evaluation. I got my court-appointed special advocate report. Oh yeah, it's going to go on YouTube, Maggie. It's going to go on YouTube. I got my circuit court, Department of Human Services, order granting continuance. Oh, for continuance on court. I don't know what that was for. You got it, baby, anytime. And listen to me, you guys. If you are a part of my YouTube channel and you want to support me, join my membership over there on YouTube, okay? It's just a way to support me. And if you guys want to do it here, it's that little gold star. Now, if you do it here, I'm using that money to give to a newcomer in recovery. So whenever I get paid from TikTok, I'll be able to get, we're picking a girl out this month. Next month will be a guy, and so on and so forth. So that way I'm like donating a little bit of stuff. I don't like to just take money from people. It's not my thing, not my style. But if you do join my memberships over on YouTube, that goes to me. Okay? Then I also got all of my drug tests from when I was in CPS care. I have my hair follicle test results, you guys. I got everything, okay? Everything. Yeah, and these are like tons and tons and tons of drug tests, you guys. Tons of drug tests. And that's because it was so important that we had these, and CPS liked to drag their ass. So me and my husband would show up to get our drug tests, and they would take forever. They would just literally have us waiting, holding our pee in the bathroom, forever, trying to wait for them to give us our damn tests, Hey girl, what's up, Zayna? What are you doing? What do you mean you have the craziest story? What happened? You can come up here and tell us about it if you want to. Yeah, these are all drug tests.
Hello.
Hey girl, what's up?
Oh my god, girl. I just got off work. So I work at like a daycare or whatever, and I'm a preschool and kindergarten teacher. And like we have a lot of so it's like a Montessori, it's like a nicer daycare.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking like nothing's gonna really happen, but this little girl comes in today and she's like, my back itches, and I pull up her shirt and there's like little circles, but they're like burns all over her back. So I take her to the office and I ask her like what is going on. She's like, my papa puts his cigarettes out on me. And she's literally just turned 4 years old. And so I was like crying. I was like so sad for her. And her mom is cuckoo. Her dad, like she just calls him Franklin. Like it's so sad. And then so we take her to the office or whatever. And sadly, like CPS gets called, which I never want that to happen unless it's like a really bad situation. And so they come, they talk to her. The mom comes, and they brush it off. And apparently, this is like the 5th time this is happening. And I just feel bad because like every single day she's just like she always wants to be held. Like she's just always so like scared. Like if anybody starts yelling, she like freaks out, and I just don't know what to do about it. Like it's so hard. And I know like her mom, I think her mom is sober, but I heard from like one of our other lead teachers that she was an addict as well.
Uh-huh.
I feel so freaking bad. There's literally bruises all over my body. I've been separating 4-year-olds from beating each other up. Like it's so crazy. Like it's just so sad that like when you want them to get involved, they just like don't. And it's like
I
so
can't believe she had cigarette burns on her.
Like if somebody like put out a cigarette on her, like about 6 or 7 of them, and I'm just like,
wow. Well, you see how ass backwards that is? So CPS is not going to get involved, but they'll get involved in, other stuff,
Exactly. I know. I was just like, what the heck? But how are you doing?
I'm doing good. We just had Rena just came on and shared her story that she's a recovering heroin addict, and so I'm getting back into having people on and interviewing them.
Nice, that's awesome. I remember when we had. Oh my god. Yeah, I remember when we did that. That was so cute. I know. I was like, oh damn, there's a big accident. No, I was just like, I just jumped on your live because I'm like, I'm driving home, like, might as well. And then I was just like, they just texted me like, oh, CPS just left, they didn't do anything. I'm like, oh, that's so sad. Like, I feel like they get involved when they really don't need to, and then like when something really big is going on, they're just like, better not. I'm like, what the heck?
And you know what will end up happening? Like, listen to me, that little girl will end up, something bad will happen, and then they'll be held accountable for not stepping in like they should have. So if somebody's burning their child with cigarette butts, burning their skin, that is child abuse. Okay, like that is fucking against the law. That motherfucker should, you know what should happen? Somebody should go put their fucking cigarette butts out on that motherfucker's ass.
That's what I was so mad. Like, I wasn't trying to like curse or anything, but I was so hurt. Like, she's like so sweet, and she just so like they're 4 and 3, like they're in 5, like they're so small of kids. Like it's like, how do you like push yourself to like do that, not once but 7 times? Like what? And they were like, the CPS sitting there bribing her with gummy worms and stuff, and she's told them everything. For a 4-year-old to say all that stuff, it's like crazy. And they're just like, even though it's like the 8th time we've got called, it's not a big deal. It just sucks. Like, it's just so sad. But
it is. Well, okay, I love you. I'm gonna kick you off because we're gonna do our workbook. Okay,
you do your thing, girl. I was just about to say the same thing.
Love you.
Bye.
Okay, so that's my girl Zayna, y'all. She is on my YouTube channel. For those of you guys that didn't see her interview, I'll probably have her on for another one, like an update. She's super young, like maybe 19 or 20. Hey, Teresa. Congratulations on 4 months. So I like to come on here, you guys, and I like to share with you guys my experiences and things that help me, and share with you guys my story times. And today I've been sharing a lot about my experience with Child Protective Services back in 2015 when my son got taken away from me. Okay? I just want you guys to understand that, like, and I'm not being overly dramatic or anything. Like, I'm scarred. I'm scarred for life from the experience of having my son taken away from me. I'm afraid of any authority figures. Like, when my son goes back to school, I'm always so nervous to talk to his teachers. I just feel so uncomfortable because I don't know who I can trust. I don't know who is, like, really there. I don't like it. I have PTSD from that shit. And so, sharing with you guys all this stuff about CPS, it's hard to talk about it because I feel like the more I talk about CPS and the more I try to bring light to what they're doing and how crooked they are, I feel like it also puts me in a position where, you know, people like to fuck with me. They like to make false claims on me, and it's like, it's stressful, you know? I just really wanted to come on and show you guys how I fucked up in my case, because I honestly didn't realize that I fucked up until I just read my paperwork. That CPS caseworker had no information on me. She didn't even know I had been to prison before, you know? And she was asking me all these questions, and then come to find out, whenever she decided to write up the reason for taking my son, it was all the things I told her, all the stories I told, all the shit I told her, because she wouldn't have known about any of that if I hadn't have told her about it, you know? So I just don't want you guys to go through the same thing. So today we're going to talk about feeling overwhelmed now or in the past. Listen up. Many women and men who are in substance abuse treatment have experienced trauma in their lives. Trauma can present in many different ways. Any experience that is associated with physical, sexual harm, violence, or emotional harm may result in a memory of the trauma that is difficult to deal with. Sometimes this means having witnessed someone else experiencing abuse or violence, such as seeing a parent or sibling beaten or seeing someone drown. And sometimes it means having experienced or inflicted the abuse or violence yourself. Often women are unable to cope with these events or the memories of them. They may try to forget the trauma, which can then return in nightmares or unforgettable images. Lisa Navetes, in a Woman's Addiction Workbook 2002, offers a thorough explanation of these issues. After you do today's exercise, you may want to continue this work by using Dr. Navetes' material or by using another of the resources at the end of this manual. You may also want to consider exploring this subject further in individual counseling sessions. Okay? So here we go. Below is a chart that can help you begin to identify whether trauma has been or is a part of your life. Okay, so we're fixing to find out if trauma is a part of our life. Okay, if it has been or is right now. And you guys can answer these questions too. You can type it in the comments, or you can come up here and share, and I'll bring you up on the screen. Just comment and I'll bring you up. Okay. So, have you ever experienced or seen physical abuse? Have you ever experienced or seen physical abuse as a child? Okay, so for me, I'm going to answer that question and I'll share with you guys. So, have I ever experienced or seen physical abuse as a child? Yes, I have. And I shared this with you guys the other day. When I was a little girl growing up, I have two little sisters, and I'm the oldest of three girls. And my parents, I love them so much. They're amazing. But my dad was raised by his dad. His dad beat him. Like, no, I'm not talking about just spanking him with a belt. My dad's dad would beat the shit out of him, punch him in the face, like really, really bad stuff, because he was an alcoholic. And so, when me and my little sisters were little, my dad would spank us with the belt. Okay. And when I tell you guys, the belt was like traumatizing, because my dad would go and get the belt, and he would walk around up and down the hallway popping that belt. Okay. Hey, John, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Popping that belt and kind of like taunting us, like, you're going to get a spanking. I'm coming for you, And so I remember seeing him spank my sister Michelle like extra hard, and he didn't mean to, but he let go of the end of the belt, and the belt buckle hit her on the bottom. And it was so scary because she was crying, and there was, it busted her butt cheek open. So yeah, I seen some that, to me, that's abuse, and I know, like, I know it wasn't intended to be that way, but like, I don't ever want to make my son scared of me. And the way my dad made me and my sisters was, we was scared of him, like, it's a thin line between like having respect for your father and being afraid that he will fuck you up. You know what I mean? And I don't ever want my little boy to feel like that about me or my husband. Have you ever experienced or seen physical abuse as an adult? So, yes, I have. Okay. So as an adult, I was in a relationship, with a guy for about 6 years. And I remember when I first started dating him, his ex-girlfriend came to me and she said, you don't want to hook up with him. He will hit you, right? And I had heard that rumor before, but I was like, in my mind, I felt like I could make him change. In my mind, I could make him different because I was going to save him, And so I just disregarded what she told me and what the other girls warned me about. And I went ahead and moved forward with this relationship. And it wasn't even 6 months after we began our relationship would be the first time that he, put us in a compromising situation. He threw my car into oncoming traffic, and we had a head-on collision. And then another time is when he started to like put his hands on me. And the way he did it was like so slick too. It was around all his family. It was his sister, his brother, their kids, his dad, and me, and then a bunch of our other friends in the living room at our house. And he took a Supreme bean burrito and bit it, and then shoved the bean burrito in my eye. Just like pushed all over my face for no reason whatsoever. And I remember I started crying, immediately started crying. I was so upset. And I went to walk, away, and I turned around, and he grabbed a sippy cup that was full of milk, and he threw it at my head, and it busted my forehead open. Blood went everywhere, okay? And so I went and laid down. I was like, man, fuck this shit, I'm going to go lay down. So I went and laid down, and when I woke up a couple hours later, I was covered in blood. And that's when I told him, hey, you got to take me to the emergency room because this is not going to stop bleeding. And that was the first time I ever like had to like lie about why I was there. I was like, oh, I fell and hit my head on the weight bench. So yes, I was in an abusive relationship. What about you guys? Have any of you guys been in abusive relationships? My ex-baby daddy did some shit like that. So I remember one time in particular, it was towards the end of our relationship. We had both gotten really, really drunk and on vodka and Kool-Aid, red Kool-Aid. And we were fighting each other. We were physically fist fighting each other. And when I tell you guys, this dude was beating my ass, like dropping me to the ground, and then as I'm on the ground, grabbing me by my hair and slamming my head, because we were in the garage, on the fucking concrete floor. The next morning when I left the house to go to my mom and dad's house, I didn't even know. When I got to my parents' house, my mom and dad said that I was unrecognizable. My head was so swollen and misshapen, it was like an alien's head. And I had gotten in my car and drove to my parents' house. But when I got out of my car to stand up, I went to stand up, you guys, and it was like timber. I fell. I collapsed because I had such a bad concussion, that my equilibrium and everything was so fucked up that every time I would stand up, I would fall out. But God kept his hand of protection over me because he knew I needed to get out of there. And so I got out of there, I got in my car, and I drove straight to my parents' house. You know, but I remember after that happened, my dad was crying when he seen me like that, and he was saying, you have battered women's syndrome. And I was like, man, whatever, dad. And he was like, no, you keep going back, like this is like not good, you have something going on, like he's gonna kill you, you know. And I can remember thinking, like, well, he didn't mean to, or it's not that bad, or I deserved it, you know. And I felt like that for a long time because I would make excuses for him, because I would say things like I deserved it because I would stand up to him. And so I would stand up to him because I was like fucking tired of getting knocked the fuck out all the time, you know? I'm not like I'm not a weak person. I'm not a girl that just like gets slapped around by her dude and doesn't fucking come for blood too, you know? And so I would blame myself because I would fight back, you know what I mean? And I would say, well, if I hadn't fought back, it wouldn't be like this. But I shouldn't have had to even worry about fighting back, you know what I mean? Hey, RJ. Hey, Sue. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Raquel. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Jamie. Well, Jamie, looks like you're in the place to be, huh? Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so you're in the right place, Jamie. Hang out with us. Okay, good job. What are you on, Lil? MAT? Suboxone? Okay, next, here we go. Have you guys ever experienced or seen sexual abuse? Have you ever experienced or seen sexual abuse? Okay, so I'll share with you guys what happened to me. So I was probably like 7, and my mom and my dad, or my grandpa Jimmy, came to Arkansas and picked me, my mom, and my 2 sisters up and took us back to California. So me and my sisters were in California, and my dad, what does she want? Hold on, Jetta. My dad had bought a new Bronco while we were. What, Jetta? Come on, let's go outside. Come on, let's go outside. What does she want? Come on. My dad had bought a new Bronco while we were in California, and so the plan was he was going to drive the Bronco up to California and come pick us up, okay, and stay for a little bit. Well, while we were there in California, my grandma introduced me and my sisters to her helper. She had this little mixed boy. He was like Asian and Mexican. She had him like doing odd jobs around the house for her, like unloading the groceries or mowing the lawn, or just that kind of stuff, you know. And he was like 17 or 18 years old, okay? So one day we were all outside and we decided we were going to play hide and go seek. Okay, hide and go seek. You got to understand, I'm 7. That means my sister Michelle is about 5.5, 6, and that means Christine is 5 or 4. Okay, because we're like 15 months apart or something like that. And so we're all playing hide and go seek, and I decided to go hide in my grandpa's garage underneath his truck. He had this like old school truck that he always worked on, and so it was perfect because it was kind of jacked up. And so I went and I hid underneath that truck. Well, guess who came in there to hide with me? Alfred. His name was Alfred. Alfred came in there to hide with me, which I didn't think anything of it because he would come out and he would play with all of us, right? There's a whole bunch of us kids. Like, I had like 12 cousins, you know, Mexicans. We got a lot of cousins and shit. And so there would be so many of us, I didn't think anything of it. Well, he got underneath the truck with me, and I was laying there, like, kind of on my side. And back then, we only wore dresses. And so the way my mom would have it is we would have our dresses, and then we would have our underwear on, and then we would have bloomers that go over those underwear, okay? So that way we're not just, like, you know, in our underwear. He put his hands down my pants and stuck his finger, you know, in there, in that area. And I remember I froze. I froze like a fucking statue, dude. Like, I was scared to fucking death, right? I froze, and then right in the nick of time, my grandpa came out of the side door, and he saw us in there. I was like, we're playing hide and go seek, you know. And he's like, well, y'all need to get out of here because if that truck falls, one of y'all is going to get hurt. And so, you know, we got up and got out. I never, ever told anybody. I was so embarrassed, dude, because I thought that I had done something wrong. I was 7 years old. I can remember it vividly. I remember exactly what I felt like. I remember feeling like, why is he doing this? This is weird. This is my private area, you know? And then I felt immense amounts of shame and felt like I was going to get in trouble. And that's what he told me. He said, if you tell anybody, you're going to get in trouble. You know, you'll get yourself in trouble and da-da-da-da-da. And so I went to the grave with it, right? Well, around the age of 14, I started to struggle with depression pretty bad. And my mom took me to the doctor to get on medication for it. And I remember after I got put on medication for my depression, I had came home and I was crying, right? Talking to my mom, and I was crying. And she was like, what's wrong, mija? And I was like, I need to tell you something. And I told her what had happened when I was younger and how it made me feel. And then I told her, you know, there's a picture in our fucking kitchen, okay, at my parents' house. There was a picture on the wall from all of us when we went to Disneyland. And it was me, my sisters, all my cousins, my aunts and my uncles, my grandparents, and Alfredo. Or Alfred. Sorry, Alfredo. Alfred. In that fucking picture. And so every day for like 14 years or however long it was, I would see this motherfucker's picture on our family wall in our house. And so I got to tell my mom what happened and how it made me feel and how it made me feel uncomfortable. And she took that picture down and threw it away. And I never had to look at it again. But I was very, very ashamed. And even though it wasn't like a lot of other things didn't happen, I felt like I had done something wrong, you know? And so that's what happened to me when I was like a little girl. Now, as far as sexual abuse as an adult, I have been raped many times, but one time that I can remember that was probably the worst time and the most scariest time was by people that I trusted. I was living with my friend Shane, and I trusted him. And he had a guy that was staying with him like as a roommate, and when I got home from work that day, Shane wasn't at home. Just the roommate guy was, which was not a big deal. I had been alone at the house with him many times, you know. Well, I came home and he gave me a Xanax and we were smoking a blunt. I literally had on a pair of black dress pants and a tie because I worked at Olive Garden. And so we were smoking a blunt, we were chilling, and then I remember he started to call me by my last name. He started to say, DeMayo, DeMayo, just kind of taunting me with it. But like, why is he calling me by my last name? Well, then like maybe 7 minutes went by and he got up and went to the kitchen and I wasn't paying attention. And then all of a sudden, all the lights in the house went off. Completely pitch dark, pitch black, right? And it's like midnight because I got off at 10. And this house is a old historic house, like a plantation house, okay? Like it's got the big pillars in the front. It's got multiple levels. It's got these like little cubby holes that are in the wall that are like, you can get in between the wall. You can get inside the walls and walk through these little passageways. Like it's really cool. But it's a big ass house. And it's got a lot of fucking windy stairs and all that. Well, he cut the breaker, I think, is what happened, because I couldn't turn on the lights. And I remember I was crying, and I was like, I was calling his name, you know, Black, where are you at? Because he went by Black. Where are you at, man? Don't play around like this. It's not funny. And I remember I just got the fear of fucking God, dude. I felt the hair stand up on the back of my neck. And I just ran up the stairs. And that's when I heard him behind me coming. And he grabbed me by my ankle. And he dragged me down those stairs. Okay? Dragged me through the living room. Dragged me through the side room. And then told me, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to take it. And to me, what that meant was, I will beat the fuck out of you and hurt you, or you can just lay there like a dead fish out of water and then be gone, right? And so I remember I cried and I cried and I cried, and then the moment I could get away, I just got up and I ran out the front door, and I hit the sliding screen door because it was glass. I hit it so hard, man. I went out there, jumped into my Ford Focus, and I never went back to Shane's house ever again. Fuck him. Well, then a couple of years go by, right? And my little baby sister was in college. And my little baby sister's like, you'll never guess who I'm hanging out with, Nicole. And I'm like, who? And she tells me she's hanging out with Shane. When I tell you guys, I called her, I literally told her, please go somewhere else so I can talk to you. And I told her everything that happened. And I told her I did not want her to be around him, and how I felt like he had something to do with it. Because what I believe happened is, I believe that Black probably called him and said, hey, Nicole's going to get off work here in a little bit. What time are you going to be home? This is the way Shane was. Shane would have said, oh man, it's all good. You can take her for the night. Right? Because that's how he treated me. He treated me like I was his slave. Okay? This is the same guy who used to make me give him baths and then rub lotion on his body and call him king. Okay? Like, he's a psycho fucking path. All right? And so I believe that he kind of set it up. I believe that he literally put it into motion. So that was traumatic. Okay? That was fucking traumatic. Because I'm the kind of person, you guys, like, I'm super laid back. I'm really easy to get along with. I don't cause nobody no problems. I don't try to, like, start beef with anybody. Especially when I was in my active addiction. I was always just trying to, like, lay low, you know? But when that happened, man, it really, really put me in a bad space, in a bad headspace, you know? Because I always try to think about, do I have trauma? Have I experienced trauma? And I'm always like, no, I had a great life growing up. But it's not just about growing up as a kid, you know? Okay, so obviously that was really bad. Okay, now I'm going to share the next thing with y'all. Okay, it says, have you ever experienced or seen neglect? Oops, sorry guys. Have you ever seen or experienced, emotional abuse, excuse me. Have you ever seen or experienced emotional abuse? Okay, so as a child, yes. And like I said, I think a lot of the ways that I feel like emotional abuse was because my dad, the way he was reprimanded by his dad, I feel like he unknowingly brought that toxicity onto us, and my mom didn't know how to, counteract it. Have you ever been or seen or experienced emotional abuse as an adult? Yes. And so, I think back to a lot of the stupid relationships that I was in the past, and then I think about the relationship that I'm in now with my husband. And when me and my husband were in active addiction, we would argue, but it wasn't like arguments about anything that mattered. Hey, Taylor, it was arguments about drugs, arguments about who's going to go first, arguments about who got the most drugs, and so just stupid arguments. So I never have been emotionally abused by my husband that I can think of. Now, there's times where he would taunt me because I would cry, and that's something that I hate. And if I'm crying, it's because I'm hurting. Like, I'm not just going to cry for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a very emotional person. Okay. So when I feel, but as far as emotional abuse in my relationship today, like, I'm very, very fortunate. I feel like me and Neil have a pretty solid relationship. I get on his nerves. He gets on my nerves, but we love each other and we make it work. You know what I'm saying? I think we do a good job. Let me see. Hey, Laura, what's up, girl? So, okay. Have you ever experienced or seen neglect? Okay, so as a child, I was not neglected at all. Like, I had everything that I needed. My parents provided for me. I feel like I had a good childhood in that aspect. Now, did I see neglect as a child? And I'm going to share a story with you guys, okay? So when I was a little girl, I think I was like in 4th or 5th grade, I had met this girl named Jessica. And me and Jessica became fast friends. I'll never forget Jessica. She had crystal blue eyes and black hair, and her hair was naturally curly, and she was just beautiful, just beautiful. Well, Jessica came down with leukemia that year, and all of her hair started to fall out because she had to have chemo, and so, or whatever the treatment was. And so she started having to wear beanies to school. So I remember, begging my mom and dad to get me beanies so that way I could wear them to class, so that way she didn't have to be the only one, wearing her beanie. Well, she wanted me to come stay the night with her for her birthday, and I had never stayed the night at her house before. And this is a big deal because I wasn't really allowed to do stay the nights with people that weren't a part of our church. And so it was a big deal that my mom and dad were letting me go stay the night, right? So I remember getting over to her house, and everything was great. Like, it was a nice house. It wasn't like a nasty house or anything like that. It was clean and all that stuff. They had cake and ice cream, and we were doing a spend the night party. But what I do remember vividly is I remember her mom had a boyfriend, and her mom and that boyfriend were fighting. And I remember how embarrassed Jessica was because this guy that she's not her dad, is ruining her birthday, and all her friends are seeing her mom, who is drunk, under the influence of something, messed up and not being able to defend herself against this jerk, right? And I think that was one of the first times that I ever realized that, I came from a really sheltered family, a really sheltered life where, I had never been around people that were using drugs and alcohol before. I had never seen anything like that. And so seeing her mom like that was like, I didn't even know what was going on. But that was something I can remember seeing neglect and being around my friend going through that at that time, you know? It wasn't even like 90 days later that she actually passed away from leukemia. And I actually became really good friends with her baby sister after that. And her mom and her baby sister still message me and stuff to this day. And we talk about her on Facebook Messenger. Hey, Nate! Nate! Stop! What is he doing? So, anyway, have you ever experienced or seen neglect as an adult? So, on our CPS paperwork, it says that me and my husband were neglecting my son. And I honestly, you guys, I cannot get behind that. I cannot get behind that whatsoever. Because when me and my husband had Nathaniel and we were using drugs, my mother and father-in-law were here with us, okay? So they stayed in this house too. And so if we left, we would leave our son with his grandparents. He was never left like alone. He was never not fed. He was never not bathed or clothed. He always had a clean diaper. Like, Neil, can you think of anything that we did neglectful? Yeah, I mean, I was on it like white on rice with my son when he was born. So much to the fact that I had postpartum depression that was so bad, but it was bad towards me. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking a shower. I wasn't brushing my hair. But I was doing everything for my baby. You know, my son always had cute outfits on with little matching hats and socks and everything. And he had it made. He had it made in the shade. Now, as far as like maybe being present because I was under the influence, maybe I wasn't as present as I could have been, but my baby was an infant. You know what I mean? And so, as far as neglect that I've seen as an adult, I've seen it in situations where the girl who called CPS on me, Tara. I lived with Tara for like 2 or 3 years once I got out of prison. And she had a little daughter that was like 3 or 4 years old when I first met her. And she neglected this little baby. I'm about to go and get him.
Nathaniel, close your door.
She would only feed the little girl, TV dinners, like, and so what ended up happening was she got super obese because all she was feeding her was TV dinners, like junk food, right? She would leave these TV dinner trays all around the house, mold, roaches crawling on them, fucking clothes all over the house, dirt, cats everywhere, like just filth, okay? And I remember when I moved in, I was like, I couldn't believe it. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'll wake up in the morning with a little girl, get her in the bath time, get her ready for school, make sure her outfit, because she had to wear a uniform to school every day, make sure her uniform was all ready for the next day, so that way she would at least be able to wake up in the morning and like feel fresh and get ready for the day, right? Her school was literally across the street. Like, all we had to do was walk across the street. And so at that time, Tara, I think, was going through a really bad depression, and she was smoking a lot of crack. But honestly, you guys, still, there's no excuse. Like, when I tell you guys, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And I felt so horrible because I lived there. I lived there because I was desperate and I had nowhere else to live. I can remember I would clean out the little girl's whole bedroom, you guys, because it would just be so dirty. dirty clothes piled up to the sky, toys everywhere. And once a week, I would get into her bedroom and I would take everything out and I would rearrange it and I would make her bed and make it look all pretty. And so that way she could be in her room. She could watch TV. She could play with her dolls because they were all set up nice for her. You know what I mean? And so I tried to do my best. You know what I mean? I tried to do my best. That's before I even had thought about having kids, you know? Have you ever experienced or seen a serious accident? Okay. As a child, have I ever seen a serious accident? Let me think. My sister Michelle, she was riding her bicycle and she was going to go off on the side of the road, and she thought it was the side of the road, but it dropped down into a ditch. She flipped her bicycle over, flew off of it, and broke her collarbone. She shows up at our house to my mom with her bone sticking out of her neck. And she's like, Mom, I need to go to the emergency room. I think I broke my neck. And there's like literally her collarbone is sticking out. You could see it coming out of the skin. Okay. And I was like, I was so fucking scared, dude. Like, and she was standing there like, I think she was in shock, you know, but that was pretty fucking brutal seeing that. And then, my mom actually had like a horrible car crash, right? And so she had dropped us off at school. I didn't see it, but I got to hear about it. She had dropped me and my sisters off at school, and she was driving on her way back, right? And some lady started coming over into her lane. And so my mom had to go off this embankment and ended up in the cemetery. But the embankment was so steep that even the police said that her car would have rolled, but God had his hand of protection over her, and she just floated on into that cemetery. Hold on, let's see what Taylor says. So, now as an adult, hey, what's up, Taylor?
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Nothing. What's going on with you?
Doing some kayaking with one of my friends. She wanted to go on TikTok live. So
Yeah.
how are you?
So you're tagging like as in using spray paint?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just chilling out, you know.
That's good.
How's your sobriety? Are you staying sober?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been sober now?
Oh,
He'll be back. Okay, so as an adult, what accidents have I seen that were pretty serious? Listen to this, okay? So this is just recently. My little boy had over his best friend recently, probably like last year sometime. And his little best friend is a little redheaded boy named Brooks. And him and Brooks were outside playing, having the time of their lives, right? I have the window cracked so I can hear them because they play right there in the cul-de-sac, so I know they're safe. All of a sudden, I start hearing Brooks screaming bloody murder, okay? And so I run outside, and the next door neighbor is carrying him, and blood is just pouring down his face, okay? And she has a paper towel on his head. And so I grab him, and I run into the house, and I lay him on the couch. It's okay. And I pull back that paper towel, and his head is cracked open, and I can see his fucking skull. I can see his skull, okay? When I tell you guys, I automatically went into mama mode, okay? So when I was a little girl, me and my sisters used to hurt each other all the time. And one day we were outside, and my sister threw a rock at one of the chickens, and the damn rock hit me instead, right in the motherfucking head. And I had busted my head open. Blood was everywhere. And I remember my mom getting me and getting a tourniquet, a bandana, and tying it around my head. And so I immediately went into overdrive. I said, Nathaniel, go upstairs and get me the Band-Aids and the hydrogen peroxide. And a little hand towel, and then I went and I grabbed this little bandana that I had, right? And so Nate came down and I put a little peroxide on it, and then I, dabbed off, got it as clean as I could, and then I put that gauze on there, a Band-Aid over that, and then tied that tourniquet to put pressure on it, right? And just like that, I called his mom. I'm like, do you want me to call 911 or take him to the emergency room or what? She's like, I'm coming to get him right now. So she came and got him, and he was just laying there, and I was just, it's going to be okay. Mom and Nicole's got it handled. You're not bleeding anymore. It's okay. Because mainly whenever you get a head injury like that, seeing the blood, it's scary. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. He was scared. And so, luckily, everything was okay, but yeah, his skull was exposed and he had to go get that shit fixed. Just got a job I never thought I would get now to get myself on mat. You helped me. Hey, what's up, Carly Ann? That's awesome. Congratulations. Where'd you get a job at, babe? So that's pretty gruesome seeing that. Now, serious accidents. I've had serious car crashes before. Many. Okay, let's see what the next question is. Y'all ready? Have you ever experienced or seen serious illness? Have you ever experienced or seen serious illness as a child? My friend dying of leukemia. Yeah. That's crazy. I was just talking about that. And if you guys want to put what you have to say in the comments, you can. But if you don't feel comfortable, that's all right. And then what about the sickness as an adult? Okay, so I kind of think this question fits perfectly for those of us who, struggle with addiction and have friends that struggle with addiction. I've seen some pretty serious people have some really serious drug addictions that has ruined their whole lives. You know what I mean? And so I have had friends have cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, mental illness. Since I've joined TikTok, you guys, I've actually seen more people that have cancer than I've ever even really seen before, because I see so many people here on TikTok and then I follow them, Oh, that's awesome, Carly Ann. I'm really happy for you, girl. If you need help getting on MAT, I can help you find a place if you need to, okay? Now, I'll tell you this, my grandmother ended up passing away from cancer just recently. And I think it was last year sometime. She was my dad's mom. And my dad told me and my sisters and my mom that she had gotten so bad that she was begging my dad to just take a hammer and beat her over the head with it and put her out of her misery. Because the cancer had just spread all over her body. She had it once in her breast and beat it, once in her cervix and beat it, and then it came back again in her cervix and just started spreading up through her body. And so she passed away from that. She was 86 or 87 years old. But my dad, when he was telling me and my sisters about watching somebody die like that, you give them medicine, morphine and stuff to try and make them feel as comfortable as possible. But it's just like a slow death watching them go like that. And it's really sad. Have you ever seen someone die? Have you ever seen someone die as a child? No, definitely not. I was so sheltered as a kid. And now as an adult, have I ever seen somebody die? Well, I've seen people overdose all the time. You know what I'm saying? So if overdoses count, then I guess so. Now, as far as like just dying, my best friend Nikki shot herself in the chest. And so I didn't see her shoot herself in the chest, though, thank God. And then my other best friend, Ashley, hung herself. And so, but I'm so glad I didn't see that, I just got back from, so my mom passed one day and I found my uncle dead the next day. Oh my God, Laura, I'm so sorry. So you do consider Matt being sober. Everyone I talk to says it's still an addiction. Yeah, Carly, and those people that you're talking to are probably not very educated. So as far as like MAT, as long as you're taking your medication as prescribed by your doctor, then absolutely 100% sober. So have you ever experienced or seen domestic violence, a caregiver or partner who hurt you physically? Now, as a child, did I see domestic violence? No. But as an adult, I was in domestic violence relationship, and I didn't repeat it over and over again. Like, I dated that one guy who was really abusive to me, and then I never dated anybody like that ever again. You think that they won't do it to you. You think that you'll be different. And that's what I thought. I thought, well, I'm different than that girl. But it's really true. Like, when somebody shows you who they are, believe it. Have you ever been involved or seen criminal activity? Yeah. Yes, sir. As a child, no. Okay. Have you ever experienced or seen any other traumatic events? Yes. Okay, let's read what it says at the bottom. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. So, as far as Matt being sober, let me just share something with you, okay? The only reason why people think MAT is not sober is because they still subscribe to the 12-step abstinence-based programs, okay? Now that we are starting to realize and know that there's more than one way to recover, okay? So 12 steps, AA, abstinence-based treatment, is not the only way, okay? And society is actually starting to open up and see that and know that more. Now, are they like me? No. We're trendsetters, okay? Those of us who are speaking out about being on MAT and being in recovery, we're leading the way. You know what I mean? We're leading the way for future people, right? For people that come behind us that are, changing their lives and living for the better. So that way they don't have to be ashamed. I don't know, Star. Yeah, Suboxone is medication-assisted treatment. I want you guys to think about something, okay? In any other area where there's an illness, okay, there's always more than one way to treat the situation, okay? How come with addiction, the only way that we've been taught to treat our addiction is through 12-step AA, abstinence-based treatment? Why is that the only thing that's ever been taught for the last 50 years? Okay. If they were actually teaching multiple pathways, we would have a higher success rate of people getting and staying sober. But at these treatment centers, they were only offering one way. So there's millions and millions of people all over the world. And we're all so different. How can we possibly assume that every single person is going to go into treatment, believe in abstinence, believe in a higher power, and get sober that way, right? Medication-assisted treatment. So, that's the only thing that's been offered in recovery, in rehabs for years and years and years, okay? Finally, they're offering multiple pathways to recovery. Getting on Suboxone is evidence-based treatment. There is evidence. They have data showing and supporting that those of us who utilize MAT are less likely to relapse. We have a better chance of staying sober over 2 years. Like, you can go online and look up this data, okay? Evidence-based treatment. AA is not evidence-based, okay? Because it's an anonymous program that they can't do tests on people and do data, right? And so this is treatment that they know scientifically works, okay? Scientifically, we know that people that struggle with opiate use disorder, all right, have a higher chance of relapsing. So utilizing something like medication-assisted treatment like Suboxone to help fill in that receptor in their brain where they're having cravings, okay, where they're, it helps with cravings and it blocks the effects of opiates. So it's a win-win situation. But do we go around just taking the medicine? Oh, I took my medicine, that's going to block my cravings. No, that's not how it works, okay? We have to actively work on healing and learning new coping skills, because you can be on Suboxone and still have cravings and still get high on other drugs, okay? It's not, Suboxone's not the savior, and it's not everything that is going to cure you. You have got to put in the work. You've got to learn new coping skills. What Suboxone does is it gives your brain enough time to relax, chill, and learn how to stay away from drugs, so that way you can start learning new coping skills. Okay? Do you recognize ever feeling or doing any of the following because of trauma? Okay? Listen to me, guys. Do you guys recognize doing any of these or feeling any of these because of trauma? Depression or anxiety. Yep. Nightmares. Yep. Low self-esteem or feeling worthless or hopeless. A pattern of becoming involved in abusive relationships. Using drugs or alcohol to escape or cope. Using food as a comfort or as something to deny yourself. Physically hurting yourself. Feeling ashamed. Feeling you deserve bad things to happen to you. Many women turn to alcohol or drugs to escape their feelings or to make it easier to deal with these feelings. If you have used substances in the past to cope, how has it worked for you? So, when I was using substances to cope with the way I felt, it worked great because it made me feel nothing, okay? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of us, drugs and alcohol are what kept us alive, because we were hurting so bad on the inside that if we had been sober, we would have committed suicide. You know what I mean? And so, using drugs and alcohol for me was a temporary fix, okay? It was a temporary fix, and what ended up happening was after, a little bit, I would start to realize that all the stresses of the world came back on me. All the chaos, was there again. And I was still faced with that same bullshit, sober and high. Damn, I didn't realize how much trauma I had, y'all. Now that you have stopped using substances, it may feel like one of your primary coping strategies has been taken away. See? Discuss whether any of the following might work for you as healthier coping mechanisms. Okay, number 1, ask for help in getting out of a relationship that is not working for you. I'm all about asking for help. To me, a closed mouth don't get fed, okay? If you're struggling, if you're triggered and you're not talking about it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Number 2, Find a support group. I can get behind that. Kind of like we got going on right here. Talk to a therapist. Chef's kiss. Absolutely. So, to me, I believe that that's one of the first things you should do is get in to see a therapist, okay? I think that should come before you go into AA or any of that stuff. You need to get in to see a doctor and a therapist. Ask supportive family and friends for help. Develop a safety plan. Learn to do things that are good for you. For example, y'all need to write these down. Writing a journal, exercising, calling or getting together with a friend, eating healthy foods, taking some time out to do something fun, taking a class, and engaging in spiritual practices. Where can you get a therapist that's adorable? I don't know, girl. I don't know. I don't know how you'd be able to tell what they look like before you meet them. Now, I'll tell you this. The therapist that I had gotten was from the MAT program that I was in, and her name was Melissa, and she was a sweet, 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 sweet girl. But she didn't have any experience with affordable. I was like, adorable. So let me think. I'll help you with that. I got you. So I don't want to say cerebral because they're like doing shitty practices, but there's these new online telemedicine doctors that are popping up everywhere. So for example, the one that I signed up for was Cerebral. Okay, the only reason why I didn't continue on with Cerebral was because they couldn't prescribe medication in the state of Arkansas. So that was a no-go for me. But there's Cerebral, there's BetterHelp, there is all kinds of, just type in therapy, telemedicine, and it'll bring up a whole slew of things that you could do. Now, if you don't want to do it like that, you can always go through like your state. So if you are like on state insurance or anything like that, there should be like a Department of Human Services or something like that in your city, where you like get Medicaid and stuff like that. And you could get a list of providers that take Medicaid. Do you know what I'm saying? But as far as like telemedicine, I'm telling you, girl, it's cheap. And it's easy because you literally do your visits on Zoom. So it's really cool. I like it. Okay, so I do self recovery, and so I work one-on-one with Dr. Daniel Hockman. He's a psychiatrist, and so I get to talk to him and stuff like that because I don't see Melissa anymore. Melissa actually retired or left our treatment place, so I don't see her. But and then I also get to see Dr. B too, but he's not like my doctor. He's just like my mentor. But I have access to him at any time, and he's a physician, so that helps out a lot. Hey, Joe, what's up? Okay. So we're going to do one more thing, okay, guys? So here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to make a change plan, okay? And what this is going to help us do is it's going to help us build motivation to make these changes in our life, healthy changes, okay? So I'm going to write down what mine are, and if you guys want to do this too, you can. So the changes I want to make are, okay? That was yes, it's one of the first things I said was cravings. The changes I want to make are lose weight, which I'm doing, lose weight, eat healthier, and then yoga and meditation is what I want to start doing. All right. The most important reason why I want to make these changes are Well, the main reason why I want to get healthy is because I want to be able to be here for my son. I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to have high cholesterol or high blood pressure and not be able to be active with my son. So, to be able to be active with my son. Okay. The steps I plan to take in changing are, okay, so number 1, change my eating habits, which I have. Change eating. Okay. Number 2, exercise. Okay. And number 3, look up yoga classes. The ways other people can help me are support me. Just support me and cheer me on. I will know that my plan is working if I lose weight, which I already have, you guys. Some things that could interfere with my plans are food. Look at me. The food is literally going to jump off the plate and fuck up my whole deal. So I wanted to do those little things because the next one that we're going to do, that one's pretty intense, talking about all that trauma, huh? So I need a break now. But the next one that we're going to do is creating serenity, loving and valuing yourself. Okay? So that one about trauma was a lot. I told you guys a lot of stuff that, like, not even told a lot of people that, you know? And so I hope that by me sharing, you know, the traumas that I experienced in my life, I hope that it helps you guys to feel like you're not so alone, and that, you know, you can feel comfortable sharing one day too. Because I'll tell you this, whenever I share about that kind of stuff, I get it off my chest, and it really does help me to feel like it doesn't have power over me anymore. You know, a lot of the ways that I'll struggle is like internally in my thinking. And so when I'm able to like say those things and talk about it and not be ashamed, it really helps me to be able to let it go, you know? So that's one of the things that I practice like every day, is talking about the way I feel. What, Jetta? Why is she here again? I literally just took her outside. What, Jetta? Jetta, what are you doing? Do you need to go outside? So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoyed my little class with you guys today. What I'm going to go do now is I'm going to go upload Rena's live stream on my YouTube, because she told her story. So if you guys didn't get to see it, it'll be up on my YouTube channel in about 15 minutes. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, okay? All right. Love you guys.